Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Tuesday, May 24th, 2016. Yeah, some interesting stuff has been happening, of course, and this is gonna be talking a few basic topics, which a lot of us that listen to me for a good period of time won't be surprised, but others may. So that's all about me in general, just improvising as usual, not being arrogant, but all in good faith. So I just been just focusing on a few areas. Got some other stuff I have up my sleeve, which is pending, and maybe leaving South Florida for a few months. So, and I will keep you folks posted, okay? And all you eavesdroppers out there that sell your soul to the establishment, who the hell cares what you think about me, all right? Yeah, first thing I'll be talking about really is interesting. It's from ProjectNSearch.com. Actually, they work with Stu Webb, who is considered to be a federal whistleblower for 31 years, and he had a lot of information pertaining to emails and so forth, and a lot of stuff, and being killed. They had a list of trying to be taken out and all that good stuff. Very controversial man. However, this information is pretty interesting. This came out today at 1 p.m. I got it on my Gmail account. So, and there's a video link on here too. It says whistleblowers Hillary tried to kill go on Seattle television. And there's a YouTube link on there. You can see it for yourself. And I follow Stu Webb for a good period of time. And you can say the man has a lot of merit. Of course, you can hear people say, oh, he's a shill, he's this and that. I just like to tell you, my friends, focus on the information and do your own research to the best of your ability and follow your own conscience if you believe it is authentic or not. That's why this whole shill game, they all want to go after, criticize Stu Webb, David Icke, and Alex Jones. I'm not saying these guys are innocent folks. They may have a lot of rough edges themselves, but it's always what they present. You have to observe responsibly. So I've taken the initiative of checking this out, and it's very intriguing. And it says like right here about Stu Webb on here. It says here from the site that Stu Webb is now in possession of Hillary Clinton emails proving she tried to kill him. Tom Hannigan and other whistleblowers she called loudmouths. Stu and Tom are super patriots who just went on Seattle Public Television and blew out Hillary's crimes for 50 minutes of mind-blowing information. This interview will end Hillary Clinton and puts her in prison if it gets to Donald Trump. So it's just an interesting claim on here. All right, Stu and Tom are asking all patrons on Before It's News to reach out to Roger Stone with this information and tell him to call Stu Webb at 816-478-3267 and begin going over Hillary's crimes detail, which is at StuWebb.com. And he has plenty of ammunition, which I've read on other sources besides his about Hillary Clinton's, sex, lesbian affairs, and him and Bill couldn't stand each other. It was more like a puppet Muppet show for them, a Muppet show for the masses, claiming to be CIA assets. But we all know too, many of us you may or may not know that Bill and Chelsea Clinton are members of the Council of Foreign Relations. You can look that up. Just go to CFR.org and look under memberships, and you'll be surprised. So this is just another, one world order assets or CIA assets, whatever you want to call it, but in that same umbrella or network. And it says Stu reports has given the word from deep inside the Clinton camp. They have told him Hillary is so angry about the truth coming out of her crimes, she's yelling at her dog. She wants to get rid of the dog and is screaming at staff. Stu joked that there just might be a listening device installed in the dog. Stu says Spot Dog is everywhere. Here's just some of the information covered in this interview that must be sent viral by all patriots. Hillary's sex crimes with children covered in this interview. She raped a young girl. Stu has given this information by the woman raped by Hillary as a child. There's stories on that too when she was like representing two alleged rapist, and it's on a 12-year-old girl. And what's interesting about that, there was a claim that she laughed when they got off and she knew they were guilty. And so, if that's the case, based on her past practice before that, we all know Hillary Clinton is one Jezebelian harlot to the one world order. She's one evil woman, and I despised her 24 years ago, and I condemn her today on her actions, on her ethics, on her nature. Why do I despise her? You gotta always pay attention to the rhetoric. She hates freedom. She sells her soul to the banksters. And you got these individuals still want to support her. You folks are in Bizarro World or the Twilight Zone. And another thing too, for my fellow union brothers and sisters out there, she claims she supports the labor force. She's lying to you. She's trying to use your organization just like everyone else. Because even too, there was reports that she was even at in Fort Lauderdale at the Embassy Suites for that Mothers Circle of Mothers, which is a Trayvon Martin Foundation, and was discussing about senseless gun violence. But if she does it, that's okay. We'll have everyone else do her dirty work. This is like saying another piece of filth. So, but I'm being mild compared to what Stu Webb and others say about her. So definitely, it says here about Hillary's sex crime with children. Covering this interview, she raped a young girl. Which I already said that. Hillary has her own people inside her operation providing useful information to U.S. intelligence on her crimes. Hillary lesbian background completely hidden by the fake news. Hillary financial frauds and murder plots on whistleblowers. We will not allow our Constitution to be destroyed. The truth about Egyptian air flight, who took it down, and how. You go to stewweb.com, check out his latest intel releases. Observe responsibly, my friends. If you want to donate money, do it. That'd be fantastic. And I would recommend to check him out and his other show, stewweb.com. It's just one good example. I've listened to the interview on that, and it's very hard hitting. And myself, you go to Truth Warriors, okay, on YouTube. Type in Truth Warriors on YouTube. You'll find his shows on there as well. And as I say, he's been doing this for a good long time. And check it out. You won't be disappointed. But like I said, this woman is one piece of trash. And I can't say any more about her. It just really just blows my mind that you got the lamestream media and people still support her and think she's such a great woman. She is not. She's using everybody. Doesn't matter what you look like, who you're from, or who you blow. And I say that precisely. So definitely check this out. And like I said, the interviews are all there, so I'm not going to post. Like I said, all the links are there. And you just gotta really just continue on it to make your own judgment. All right. And if anyone has contact with Roger Stone, send him this link or even my show as well. It'd be great because I would love to meet this man. I heard he lives in South Florida, maybe on tour. I don't know. So definitely, folks, check this out. And speaking of Hillary, this came from Michael Krieger. This is on Blacklisted News, and it's from Michael Krieger, and it says here. Here's a full list of companies and organizations that paid Hillary Clinton from 2013 to 2015. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. And let's check out Let's check out who these companies that funded this wench. All right, this came out on the 23rd, by the way. It came out yesterday. It says here, in this article, how corporate America bought Hillary Clinton for $21 million. The New York Post details the companies and organizations that paid Hillary in speaking fees from 2013 to 2015. Total comes to $21.7 million, which is a remarkable sum of one of the least charismatic and unimaginative orators the world has ever known. It's enough to make you sick. And it says right here, New York Post reports, April 18th of this year. It's all 2013 now. Okay? It says here, April 18th, Morgan Stanley, Washington, D.C., $225,000. 24th of April, Deutsche Bank, Washington, D.C., $225,000. April 24th, National Multi-Housing Council, Dallas, Texas, same amount. April 30th, 2013, Fidelity Investments in Naples, Florida, same amount. April 8th, 2013, Gap Incorporated, San Francisco, California, same amount. And we'll go on further down the line here. Or actually, what did I say, April? May 8th, excuse me, that's from the Gap. This is in May now. May 14th, Apollo Management Holdings Company, New York, $225,000. And it will say here, same thing with on April 16, 2013, Altu BBA U.S. Securities, New York, same amount. 500, May 21st, 2013, Fexizing Communications, Washington, D.C., same amount. And of course, May 29th, Sanford C. Bertstein and Company, LLC, New York, $225,000. And of course, June 4th, Goldman Sachs Group's Palmetto Bluff, South Carolina, is the same as before, aforementioned. And I will make those changes. Yeah, don't worry. June 6th, Spencer Stewart, New York, same amount. That's $225,000. Okay, and June 16th, Society for Human Resource Management, Chicago, Illinois, it's $285,000. And of course, June 17th, Economic Club of Grand Rapids, Michigan, $225,000. And of course, we got here June 20th, Boston Consulting Group Inc., Boston, Mass., same amount. And of course, same date. Let's Talk Entertainment Inc., Toronto, Canada, $250,000. And of course, the 24th of June, American Jewish University, Universal, California, $225,000. And of course, June 24th, Culver's Kravitz, Roberts and Company, Palos Verdes, California, the same. And of course, July 11th, 2013, UBS Wealth Management, New York, the same. Of course, August 7th, Global Business Travel Association, San Diego, California, same amount. That's $225K. Okay, so just let you folks know. It says here. All right. September 18th, American Society of Clinical Pathology, Chicago, Illinois, same, $225K. And of course, we got the 19th, American Society of Travel Agents, Inc., Miami, Florida, same amount. And of course, we got here October 4th, Long Island Association, Long Island, New York, same amount. And it says here, October 15th, National Association of Convenience Stores, Atlanta, Georgia, $265,000. Ooh, interesting. And of course, we got here the 23rd of October, SAP Global Marketing Inc., $225K. The 24th, Accenture, New York, same amount. The 24th of October, Goldman Sachs Groups, New York, $225K. Ooh. And we got here the 27th of October 27th, Beth El Synagogue, Minneapolis, Minnesota, $225K. Well, I'm sorry about them. They're just that temple or synagogue are just for gynos, which is Jew or Judaic in name only. And I'm not being don't say I'm anti-Semitic, because I'll prove you wrong. And of course, in the 28th, the Jewish Unite Fund, Jewish Federation Metropolitan Chicago, gave her $400,000 to speak from a teleprompter. Ew. And of course, we got here the 29th of October, Goldman Sachs Group, Tucson, Arizona, $225K. November 4th, there's 2 dates here. One is Mace Productions Inc., Orlando, Florida, same amount. And London Drugs Limited, Mississauga, Canada, same amount. And on the 6th, Belmont Health System, Troy, Michigan, $305,000. November 7th, 2013, of course. Golden Tree Asset Management, New York, $275,000. November 9th, National Association of Realtors, San Francisco, $225,000. Media Corp Canada, Inc., Toronto, Canada, that's on the 13th. Same amount, 11/13 again. Bank of America, Bluffton, South Carolina, same amount. C.B. Richards Ellis, Inc., New York, $250,000. And on the 18th of November, there's 2 dates on here. One is C Group, the CIIE Group, Naples, Florida, $225K. And of course, Press Ganey, Orlando, Florida, with the same amount. And going to 21st of November, U.S. Green Building Council, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the same amount, $225,000. And check this out. Oh, January 6, 2014. So we're going on 2014 right now. GE, there's a function in GE, Boca Raton, Florida, $225,500. Wow. And they still pay your stagehands. Odd, right? Come on. All right, we'll go on here. January 27th, National Automobile Dealers Association, New Orleans, $225,500. And of course, we got here the same date. Premier Health Alliance, Miami, Florida, $225,500. February 6th, Salesforce.com, Las Vegas, Nevada, $225,500. It says here, February 27th, 2014, Novo Nordisk AS, Mexico City, Mexico, $125,000. February 26th, Health Information and Management Systems Society of Orlando, Florida, at Orlando, Florida, $225,500. The 27th of February, A&E Television Networks, New York, $280,000. And of course, March 4th, of the same year, Association of Corporate Counsel, Southern California, Los Angeles, California, $225,500. Yes, the list goes on and on and on and on. Wow. She is one big corporate stooge, I would say. So are you ready? Are you ready? I'm ready for oligarchy. The choice is clear. There is none. I can rant on here all you want, my friends, but you know what? You can really see for yourself. It is totally amazing. Okay, you got all these corporations that's been throwing her all this money. That tells you one thing. Who is she representing? Not you and I. She's just an example of a corporate puppetry. Nothing new at all whatsoever. This is why I'm proud to say I am not an endorser of Hillary Clinton. I didn't care for her as First Lady, presidential candidate in 2000, and of course, or in 2008. In 2008? No, 2000, excuse me. And of course, Secretary of State, and care for her. Woo! Sorry about that. As presidential candidate, okay? I could care less. She don't give a damn about you, your family, or your party, political party. She's using the Democrats as well. So please, folks, don't even waste your time and energy telling me how great this woman is. Blasphemy. It would be a definition with your face on a dictionary. Just a good example. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. This one here from RT. Got this from David Icke's site. We follow each other on Twitter. And it says here, wave of bomb threats plagued dozens of schools in U.S. and U.K. Bomb threats prompted lockdowns and evacuations in dozens of elementary and high schools across the U.S. and U.K., leaving classes to be resumed only after police failed to find explosives or any or other dangerous items. The threats led to the evacuations of schools in Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New York, Oregon, Utah, and Wisconsin. Media outlets in the United Kingdom also reported evacuations at dozens of schools up and down in that nation. Some officials described The calls received as automatic or robotic. Schools in Denver and Minnesota received their threat just before noon local time on Monday, with another school in Minnesota received their threats around 12:15 p.m. We let all law enforcement know we are ready to help should they need our assistance. Deborah Sherman, a spokeswoman for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who also said in a statement that the agency is monitoring the situation. I was wondering if someone from the inside, criminal elements within the entities are involved, allegedly. There is no doubt these calls drain public safety resources, can prevent delayed responses to actual emergencies, she added. Students were sent home at Murray High School outside Salt Lake City while bomb-sniffing dogs were brought in. No explosives were found. Officials told Associated Press the threat could be the latest examples of so-called swatting against schools. In recent months, hoaxers playing online games have allegedly used proxy servers and other high-tech identity disguising tools to anonymously threaten schools online or in phone messages, using electronic voices to trigger a huge police response, even SWAT teams. 6 schools were evacuated in Delaware. Several school administrators described the threat as being made by a male voice. It's believed that this automated threat is connected to several others received by schools throughout the state of Delaware. Okay, Corporal Brian Donner, a spokesman for the Samina Police Department, told Delaware Online. Delaware State Police, however, said it's unknown whether these bomb threats are related to a string of calls received across the state in January and early February. Here are a partial list of schools from BNO News. Evacuated, all clear given. East Millsboro Elementary School, Delaware. Evacuated, all clear given. Beach Middle School, Louis, Delaware. Evacuated, all clear given. Polytech High School, Woodside, Delaware. Evacuated. Given clear. Stanton Middle School, Delaware. Evacuated. All clear given. Mispellion Elementary School, Milford, Delaware. Evacuated. All clear given. Sunnyside Elementary School, Delaware. Evacuated. All clear given. Cherokee Trail Elementary School in Parker, Colorado. Evacuated. The Colorado Springs schools in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Evacuated, all given clear. Liberty Point Elementary School in Pueblo, West Colorado. Evacuated North Middle School in Great Falls, Montana. Lockdown, all clear given. High schools in Claremont and Lincoln in San Diego, California. Evacuated Altoona Elementary School in Altoona, Iowa. Lockdown, all clear given. Sweet Home High School in Amherst, New York. Evacuated a number of schools in Salt Lake City, Utah. Evacuated schools in Fort Collins, Boulder, Lakewood, in Colorado. Lockdown Long Beach Elementary School in Long Beach and Washington State. Long Beach, Washington State. Evacuated all 4 schools in Asania Public Schools in Connecticut. Evacuated, all given clear given. Kessler Elementary School in Longview, Washington. Evacuated Oakwood Elementary School in Algoma, Wisconsin. Evacuated Northside Elementary School in Middleton, Wisconsin. Evacuated, all given clear. Janet Berry Elementary School in Appleton, Wisconsin. Secure Motor, all given clear. Edison Middle School in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Evacuated, all clear given. Irvington Elementary School in Portland, Oregon. Search only, all clear given. Nevin Platt Middle School in Boulder, Colorado. Looks like there's a little game to play in those areas, more like a Pablo's dog training. Okay, just curious if FEMA's involved. You know what I'm saying? It's allegedly speaking, because about these little drills they had. Because even look what happened. They made the thing on Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newton, which of course, according to FBI.gov, there were no reports of murders whatsoever. So the more of these practicing drills make people be conditioned and make them submit to the state that they will protect them. And in reality, it doesn't really work that way. This is how they're trying to drill it in your kids' heads. They're really trying to program them to be obedient and submissive. Is nothing new whatsoever. It's another form of mind control. And the folks have to really observe these areas. It is going to be another supposedly false flag attack. Possibly a false flag attack. So, that's why you got to be vigilant there, my friends, and pay attention and critically think freely. All right, next one here. Came from activistpost.com, and it says here, Saudi press just accused U.S. government of blowing up World Trade Centers at pretext to Perpetual Wars by J. Samuropoulos. In response to the U.S. Senate's unanimous vote to allow 9/11 victims' families to sue Saudi Arabia in federal court, a report published in London-based Al Daily by Saudi legal expert Khadib al-Shamari claimed that the U.S. masterminded the terror attacks as a means of creating a numerous enemy in order garner public support for global war on terror. The report by al-Mashari, translated by the Middle East Media Research Institute, Memory, is a link for that, claims that long-standing American policy is built upon the principle of advanced planning and future probabilities, which the U.S. has now turned toward Saudi regime after being successfully employed against the first Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and then Saddam Hussein and his secular Ba'athist controlled Iraq. Al-Shamari claimed the recent U.S. threats to expose documents implicating the Saudi government are simply the continuation of a U.S. policy which referred to as a victory by means of archive. He highlights that during the initial invasion of Iraq under George Herbert Walker Bush, Saddam Hussein was left alive and empowered to be used as a bargaining chip, but upon deciding that he was no longer an ace up their sleeve, Washington moved to topple his government and installed a U.S.-backed ruling party. The terrorist attacks on 9/11 are now the ace up the sleeve of the U.S. government, according to al-Shamari. September 11th is one of the winning cards in the American archive, because all the white people in the world who are experts on American policy, who analyze the images and videos of 9/11, agree unanimously that what happened with the Twin Towers was purely American action, planned and carried out within the U.S. So he's saying it's a, quote, inside job. Proof of this is the sequence of continuous explosions that dramatically ripped through both buildings. Expert structural engineers demolished them with explosives, while the planes crashing into them only gave the green light for the detonation. They were not the reason for the collapse, but still the U.S. still spread the blame in all directions. This policy can be dubbed victory by means of archive. The impetus behind the attacks, writes al-Shamari, was to create an obscure enemy, terrorism, which became what American presidents blamed for all of their mistakes. And that would provide justification for any dirty operation in any nation. According to al-Shami report in Al-Hayat, on September 11th, the U.S. attained several victories at the same time that the hawks, who were at the time in the White House, could not have imagined. Some of them can be enumerated as follows. 1. The U.S. created, in public opinion, an obscure enemy, terrorism, which became what American presidents blamed for all their mistakes, and also became the sole motivation for any dirty operation that American politicians and military figures desire to carry out in any country. The terrorism label was applied to Muslims, and specifically to Saudi Arabia. And I have to agree on that, especially with Muhammad Atta and a few others, when they made that claim about the South Florida connection, talked about, they're bragging about what they're going to do to the planes, to hijack them as missiles, use them as missiles to crash in the buildings, and they're all getting highly intoxicated and look at the Quran on the table. If you study Islam or even in world culture, you can like there's, I don't know the scripture in there about alcohol, but that's considered sacrilegious to the Prophet Muhammad. So right there, that's a major smoking gun in my book. Is saying, like, wait a minute, so you gotta try to be Muslims, but they were highly intoxicated. Come on, you gotta folks, you gotta really start doing your homework instead of listening to the bobbleheads. But people still believe this day the extreme Muslims were behind 9/11. Give me a break, all right? Specifically Saudi Arabia, which I can say this right now, they are part of the One World Order network. So, and I will continue on here. 2. Utilizing the incident 9/11, the U.S. launched a new age of global armament. Everyone wanted to acquire all kinds of weapons to defend themselves, and at the same time, the obscure enemy, terrorism, even though up to this very moment, we don't know the essence of this terrorism of which U.S. speaks expect to say that it is Islamic. 3. The U.S. made the American people choose from two bad options, either peacefully but expose the danger to death by terrorism at any moment, or starve in safety because the country's budget will be spent on sending the Marines even as far to Mars to defend you. And interesting there. Like how he said, a little bit sarcastic, but understandable. The Saudi press has been in a frenzy since the unanimous Senate vote allowed for the House to decide to be held liable in the U.S. federal court for the 9/11 attacks, with the U.S. being accused of being in alliance with Iran. They expressed warnings that the passage of the Satanic Bill would open up the gates of hell, as reported by Breitbart, which I've read that earlier today. And Breitbart is a little bit shady, but however, that article they put on there has some merit. So we'll proceed. Al-Shamari makes extremely clear that he views the problem as the U.S. imperial machine itself, stating, the nature of the U.S. is that cannot exist without an enemy. The nature of the U.S. is that it cannot exist without an enemy. For example, after a period during which it did not fight anyone, an example, following World War II, the U.S. created a new kind of war, the Cold War. Then, when the Soviet era ended, after we Muslims helped the religions and fought communism on their American behalf, they began to see Muslims as their new enemy. The U.S. saw a need for creating a new enemy and planned, organized, and carried this out, i.e., blame Muslims for terrorism. This will never end until the U.S. accomplishes its goals as it has set for itself. While it seems fighting Islamic terrorism is great for increasing fear and state propaganda meant to elicit compliant civilian populations that passively accept loss of liberty for promises of greater security. The military-industrial complex needs a bigger enemy to justify their $600 billion a year budgets, thus beginning a transition of labeling Russia and China as aggressively Russia-China in an effort to begin to pivot away from one boogeyman to another, more profitable one. And Jay's Simropoulos writes for the freethoughtproject.com, where this article originally first appeared, and he's right on this. It's right, as an Al-Shamari is spot on in those areas as well. And what Ben Franklin says, if you give up freedom for temporary security, you deserve neither freedom or security. So they try to train the American people as fear, use the boogeyman. Now you hear Al Qaeda, then you hear that's watered down. Now you hear ISIS and ISIL and IS. It's all from the same network, my friends. Same crap, different package. And if you know, and people know me well enough, I've been saying that ISIS and ISIL is one world order funded as well, and many other people who are like scholars and geopolitical analysts. We see the bigger picture, and people still believe ISIS are a bunch of Muslims. Come on, man, there's a bunch of ragtag guys that are funded by someone higher. You have to really observe these things more thoroughly. This is why I'm always don't like get insulted when I hear all this crap. And so like I said before, it's a hot potato game. Because right now, I look at it this way: the Saudis may be involved, but they're just another bunch of patsies. Like the United States is a patsy nation. Some charter from multi-billionaires is using this country to control the world. And of course, Grand Chessboard by Zygmunt Brzezinski is a great book to examine. You won't be disappointed. You can understand why in the bigger picture that the United States got to stop being an empire and return as a republic and denounce it as a federal corporation. This is nothing more than saying, let's create something and let it be cancerous, have people live in fear, and make them be submissive. More Pablo's dog training, like I said before. Be vigilant, my friends. And that's all I'm going to look in this area here. All right, next one here. Oops. Yeah, next one here came from Mike Snyder, end of AmericanDream.com. He has stuff that has many other sites he writes. He's very good Bible scholar, but he's very unique on here. So it says here, one world religion comes. Pope Francis warmly welcomes top Islamic cleric to the Vatican. When Pope Francis met with Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyab on Monday, he told him that our meeting is the message. So precisely what kind of message was Pope Francis attempting to convey? Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyab was the Grand Imam of Cairo's Al-Azhar mosque, and some have described him as the highest figure in Sunni Islam. The Daily Mail said that the meeting between these two men was a historic bid to reopen dialogue between the two churches. And as you'll see below, this is yet another long series of attempts by Pope Francis to build bridges with Catholicism and various other faiths. In the end, what are we to make of all of this? Could it be possible Pope Francis laying the groundwork for the super world church and the coming one world religion that David Wilkerson and so many others have warned about? Pope Francis made sure that to embrace Sheikh Ahmad al-Tayyab, there would be plenty of reporters there to document the moment. The following is an excerpt from the Daily Mail article entitled Pope Embraces Grand Imam, a historic Vatican meeting in bid to bring Catholic and Muslim churches together. Pope Francis today embraced the great Imam of Al-Azhar, the prestigious Sunni Muslim center of learning, a historic bid to reopen dialogue between the two churches. At the time of increased Islamic extremist attacks on Christians, Sheikh Ahmed Talba was photographed hugging Francis during a visit to the apostolic palace at the Vatican. This meeting comes into the context of some very curious statements that the Pope had been making about Islam and Christianity lately. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's one example. Today, I don't think that there is a fear of Islam as such, but of ISIS and his war of conquest, which is partly drawn from Islam. He told French newspaper La Croix, it is true that the idea of conquest is inherited in the soul of Islam. However, it is also possible to interpret the objective Matthew's Gospel, where Jesus sends his disciples to all nations in terms of the same idea of conquest. The Pope has said he dreaded hearing about the Christian roots of Europe because to him they take on colonist overtones as he called on European nations to integrate Muslim immigrants into the continent. Could we say Club of Rome, my friends? The integration is all more necessary today since as a result of selfish search for well-being, Europe is experiencing the grave problem of declining birth rate, he stated. The demographic emptiness is developing. On the other occasion, the Pope declared that Christians and Muslims are brothers and sisters. Pope Francis seems to have strong desire to paint Christianity and Islam as two sides of the same coin, and he has taken steps to reach out to Muslims that no other pope in history has gone. To illustrate this point, I want to share an extended excerpt from one of my previous articles, which he has it in here, which was January 10th, so you can check that yourselves, folks. Very early in papacy, he authorized Islamic prayers, readings from the Quran at the Vatican for the first time ever. And as I documented in the previous article entitled "In New York, Pope Francis Embraced Christendom and Laid a Foundation for a One World Religion." You check that out yourself. During his visit to St. Patrick's Cathedral in Manhattan, he made it very clear that he believes that Christians and Muslims worship the same God. The following is how he began his address. I would like to address two sentiments from my Muslim brothers and sisters. First, in my greetings as they celebrate the Feast of Sacrifice, I would have wished my greeting to be warmer. My sentiments of closeness in the face of tragedy. Oh, sorry about that. Beyond there. The tragedy that they suffered in Mecca. In this moment, I give assurance of my prayer. I unite myself with all of you. I pray to Almighty God, all merciful. In Islam, one of Allah's primary titles is the All Merciful One. If you doubt this, just do a Google search. And it certainly was not the first time Pope Francis had used such language. For example, check out the following excerpt from remarks that he made during his first Islamic meeting as Pope. I then greet and cordially thank you, dear friends belonging to other religious traditions. First of all, the Muslims who worship the one God, living and merciful, and call upon Him in prayer. And all of you, I really appreciate your presence. In it, I see tangible signs of the will to grow in mutual esteem and cooperation for the good of humanity. The Catholic Church is aware of the importance of promoting friendship and respect between men and women of different religious traditions. I wish to repeat this, promoting friendship and respect between men and women of different religious traditions. It is also a test. That's a valuable work that the Pontifical Council of Interreligious Dialogue performs. Are you starting to see what I'm talking about? There's a very clear pattern developing here. Pope Francis believes that Christians and Muslims worship the same God, and he wants us to know that he considers Islam to be a perfectly acceptable way to seek God. If you doubt this in any way, I want you to watch this video. There's a link for that, which was released by the Vatican in January 2016. In this video, Pope Francis explained that people all over the world are seeking God or meeting God in different ways, that there is only one certainty that we have for all. We are all children of God. At the 22nd mark, leaders from various major religions are shown declaring what they believe. First, a female Buddhist announced, I have confidence in Buddha. Secondly, Jewish rabbis declares, I believe in God. Thirdly, a Catholic priest tells us, I believe in Jesus Christ. And lastly, the Islamic leader is shown saying, I believe in God Allah. If you have not seen this video, this is one of the creepiest things I have ever seen on YouTube. It has become exceedingly clear that Pope Francis believes that all major religions are completely valid past the same God. There is virtually no uproar over this. This just shows how late in the game we really are. One world religion that was prophesied nearly 2,000 years ago in the book of Revelations is starting to come to life. We are witnessing the events of the last days begin to unfold right in front of our eyes. It's interesting there. Very interesting. And there's even a claim that Islam was started by the Vatican. It's just a claim. There's some books on it. I'm not saying if it's accurate. I'm not going to make any statements, but just a claim, and I say that in good faith. Oof. What really gets me is people still want to talk about, maybe still talk about how great Pope Francis is. I am not impressed by any means. A lot of Bible scholars are like eyes turned upside down too. A lot of the churches, and even in the Christian faith, are doing, a lot of the pastors decide to do home churches. They're getting out of that whole 501c3 crap. The truth of the matter is, folks, the one world order is here. They're trying to implement it completely. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not, or don't believe, or believe in the Bible. If you do or not, that's up to you. It's each individual. It's your own free will. You have to really see things a lot broader than what it is. Sorry about that. Wow, I'm just yawning here. And that's why I've been telling people in the past that Pope Francis is just another globalist bellboy. I'm not impressed with him. His rhetoric is unattractive. And everyone's got to start looking at themselves about this one world order, especially one world religion. That is very dangerous. There's even claim that the one world religion Bible don't even use God or any names. Something to look at, something to check out. and observe. Prepare yourselves, my friends. Big spiritual warfare is in progress. Everyone can jump in. You want to be stagnant or sat? That's your problem. But whatever you do, make sure I'm not around. I'm ready to set the world ablaze for true peace, security, and spiritual prosperity. That's all I'm going to say about this whole ordeal. And take a little breather here. All right, I'm going to be doing one more here. Came out like 4 days ago. It was written by Charles Van Wyck, who does write for the WorldNet Daily. It's another viewpoint. It says here, men, you, not the state, must protect your family. That's a quote in here too. But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, especially for the members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. This is 1 Timothy 5, verse 8. Last thing I want to do is discourage any women from reading this, but know from the beginning. This message is specifically addressed to my brothers in Christ. Men, we need to talk. And yes, I know that particular turn of phrase sounds eerily similar, that your wife announces when she has something to share with you that usually involves some behavior modification on your part. I'm a husband too. But in seriousness, my brothers, all throughout Scripture, the Lord speaks to men about what he calls us to do. We're to honor him, love and honor our wives, love, instruct, and admonish when necessary our children, and we're to protect them with our lives if necessary. When political leaders and lawmakers make it impossible for us as dutiful husbands and fathers to act in the biblical sense as protectors of those whom God has entrusted to our care, then we have no obligation to obey them. When the ruling class further curtails our freedom and makes it illegal for us to fulfill our duty to protect our families by passing and implementing unjust gun laws, then they are no longer God's servants to do us good. Rather, they become an instrument of Satan, whom we are commanded by God to resist. We must actively work toward making sure the liberal anti-gun leaders and lawmakers are defeated electorally and replaced with godly leaders who respect and uphold basic human rights of self-defense. A thug who wants to disarm a law-abiding citizen, leaving his life in danger and his wife or children vulnerable to assault, is a thug. Whether a thug in government or a thug on the street. In Africa, we often see the shockingly high number of murders and rapes of women and children by rebels and government soldiers. The Christian man does not only have a right, but also a duty to resist these wicked men with lethal force if necessary. To protect our families is to honor God, basically God's laws, trump human laws. More Christian men should be praying, Lord, make it fast and accurate. Otherwise, you find yourself praying that the government that left you disarmed and defenseless will come to your defense. That makes about as much sense as a scope on a shotgun. Brothers, we are called to stand on strong on the word of God, not waver under the deception that our families would somehow be safer if only we would abdicate our God-assigned duty to government. We've seen what happens when men abdicate our God-assigned duty to work and provide for our family. Government is all too happy to assume the role, robbing initiative, work ethic, unity, opportunity, and morality, and replacing it with poverty-level stipend. Teach your children. We must teach God's truth to our children. After all, the state-run education system in harmony with the state-run media is teaching your children a message. It is not the message. Their impressionable minds are being carpet-bombed with weapons of mass distortion. That they learn that offending someone's sensitivity is a greater crime than offending your loved ones. When a bad guy has a gun, only a good guy with a gun can properly resist him. Little else is equipped to do the job. Did you know that historically Christians believed that murderers weren't the only ones guilty of capital crime? They believed those who could but would not act to protect the innocent also bore some responsibility for the victim's suffering. Where does this doctrine leave most of the Christian men of today. If we are to help the suffering, how can we stand by and watch the murder of the innocent? My brothers in Christ, don't be fooled by false comfort in the Christian life. Cowardice is a sin. Interesting point there, huh? Terrorists understand. After the St. James Church massacre of 1993, I reached out to the terrorists with the gospel of Jesus Christ. The commander of the attackers of our church said, I hear your own people, Christians, are criticizing you for returning fire at the attackers. What do they expect you to do? Just sit and watch the massacre? How is it that an atheist sees self-defense as a virtue, yet some Christians don't? Resisting the wicked is part of God's ordained witness to them. Would you? There's a link to see the book and the movie. It's a book called Shooting Back the Right and Duty of Self-Defense. Check it out, folks. It's really good. I read it. During the war between southern and northern Sudan, northern Muslim soldiers defected to southern Christian army because they're fighting tenacity and godly manner in which they treated their POWs. How have we ever considered the way in which we fight and how we treat our enemies can be a witness to them? Girls on fire. Crime is out of control in South Africa is rising worldwide. Meanwhile, the South African government and governments worldwide remain bent on disarming the population. We found it, Government owners of South Africa, or GOSA, to fight disarmament program. The disarmament program. Women in South Africa are feeling particularly vulnerable because of extreme high incidents of rape and murder. To fight back, they started a division of GOSA called Girls on Fire. Through this program, they're educating women on the advantages and rights of female firearm ownership in South Africa. GOSA's Girls on Fire program was created in 2015 with a 16 days of action for no violence against women and children education campaign. GOSA believes women must be able to protect themselves and their families. We don't want women to fall victim to violence. We want them to be skilled, determined, and equipped with the appropriate tools to protect themselves and their families. Girls on Fire have taken social media to promote their campaign and now are represented on. And you can go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It says it all there. GOSA, Girls on Fire on Facebook, or Instagram at Girls on Fire SA, or Twitter at Girls on Fire SA, and at Victim No Longer. This is empowerment of women. So Girls on Fire, women are taking responsibility for the safety of themselves, their families, and their communities. Men, we could follow their lead, but we far better following God's word. Only then we can truly lead our wives and children and protect them the way God commands. It doesn't matter what your faith is. It's still a meritable viewpoint. I've read his book, Shooting Back the Right and Duty of Self-Defense. I ordered it like, I think 14 years ago, and I read it flying in a plane from Fort Lauderdale to Salt Lake City. Had some stops in between, but it was a real good book. Short but powerful and inspiring. That's why I'm not afraid to discuss self-defense and fight gun control by any means. Just an example, how one person saved 900 people, over 900 lives, and what he believes his duties are. He's exercising it, and what he's addressing here as well. Always give Charles Van Vick homage in these areas, and I'll always have an honor to be his Facebook pen pal. Facebook friend or pen pal don't matter, you know. But and I share information. We share information, and so I've read this a couple of days ago. So let me just put it on the podcast. I think it's essential for everyone to learn, because you got just people in there, Christians in name only. I call them sinos or kinos. Christian name only. Don't believe self-defense isn't righteous. Whoever says that, they're contradicting their faith, and you have to treat them like they are a disease. Terminate it. That's all I gotta say. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this episode, my friends. Please feel free to download and share throughout your social media network. If you have any questions, comments, compliments, criticisms, love letters, hate letters, or you want to send me something that's interesting I haven't checked out, whatever you do, please send everything or your correspondences with decorum. can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, and Scene.life. That's like 9 things already. Wow. Or you can email me at LookieLuck3@gmail.com. Before I go, I'm going to play a little song from some friends of mine. Not really in exist anymore, but they're called Collapsing Lungs. They're pretty popular in South Florida in the early 90s. The video came out, they did, called Crackerjack. And a bunch of us were there at the club called The Edge, which is now Revolution Live in Fort Lauderdale. So part of the video thing, but I didn't see myself in there, so I can't really say. But I had a good time, and hopefully everyone in there, all the members of there, are doing fine and alive and healthy and so forth. There's a song called Crackerjack. They were on Atlantic Records. It's only an EP, and things happened along the way. Very disturbing. So, but it's pretty cool. I enjoy it, like hip hop and industrial, and I appreciate what they've done. Made South Florida's music scene very interesting. So that is all. Finally, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.
You stick around. But remember, I'm the boss, and I give all the orders.
Just like the ghetto, make a buck with some luck. Like a beast, your own protection. City streets, that it's affection. The mind explodes just like a cannon. Body take a turn, leave you abandoned. Another day in this mouthy fire. No, the vibe won't ever stop. It goes like that, like that, like that. It goes like that, like that, like that. It goes like that, like that, like that. Smash the Crackerjack, come on. It goes like that, like that, like that. Like that, like that, like that. It goes like that, like that, like that. Smash the Crackerjack. Come on, come on.
Whoa, here now.
Oh boy, Al's gonna be pissed.
Hey, well, maybe I'm gonna have to stay home.
Come and meet the home. My father acts like he's Al Capone. Beat his wife like a hoe. Until that hoe will yo-yo. Shove a sucker dead. Put a bullet right in his head. Watch the sucker bleed. Pull out her butt and she can't reach. It goes like that, like that, like that. It goes like that, like that, like that. It goes like that, like that, like that. Smash the Crackerjack. Come on. It goes like that, like that, like that. It goes like that, like that, like that. It goes like that, like that, like that. Smash the Crackerjack. Come on, come on.
Smash the Crackerjack. Smash the Crackerjack.
Father, cause he's falling cold. Watch the man come through that door. Blast past or the saw. Walk into the place. Crack my